Attention bowlers, we are going to get started. Welcome back to Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. This is Sarah Wright at Joe Moose DeAlmeida. I'm Steve Kelly on the call for the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour and 3-ball spare conglomerate. The match format is 5 strings and 14 points on offer. 2 points per string, 4 for total pinfall, with ties splitting points. Good as always to have you along with us. This match was live streamed on Saturday, February 1st. 2025, and is available for rewatching anytime upon the conclusion of this match. And we are going to get started with Sarah Wright, our away bowler, on lane 4 at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. As I've given the thumbs up, hello, I'm Steve Kelly on the call, sitting down here. This is Sarah Wright, our away bowler from Leader Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire against Joe Moose DeAlmeida. Here's Sarah Wright with the opening pitch, and she's right on the head pin. Split ball, starting things out. That's the 2 and the 7 down there for a spare. On lane 4, Sarah Wright calls an audible, hits the wood behind the object pin, and leaves the 2 pin on the deck. For those interested, I'd like to highlight a few things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled, so if you enjoy this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. That's a 10 box for Sarah Wright to start out. And Sarah splits it up with a 6 drop. And she nearly gets a spare. She leaves 1 on the deck. It's the 2 pin. Again, that pesky 2 pin. So she can get a mark. She's going to be shooting for another 10 box. Can she get 2 in a row? Sarah Wright, very good at 10 boxes. And look at that. 2 10 boxes in a row for Sarah Wright. 20 after 2. Hasn't missed a pin so far. 2 head pin shots, 2 splits for Sarah Wright. So keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast while the bowlers maintain the official book records separately. Scores may be subject to review or correction. That's Sarah Wright on the head pin with a split. Once again, the 4, 6, 3, 7, 10 on deck. And she's just off target, far off in the back right corner. 4, 6, 3, 7 for Sarah Wright. I may occasionally pause to verify scores if things seem out of sync, so I appreciate your patience when that happens. Sarah Wright will take an 8 box. At Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts, we are very old school here. It's all paper and pencil scoring, so verification is key, no matter what it is. So Sarah Wright, after 3 frames, is at 28 after 3. I will do my best to add chapters to the YouTube description so you can choose to jump to certain points in the games if that is your preference. If you're watching this match on YouTube later on, Sarah Wright in the 1-2 pocket, a nice ball. Drops 9, leaves the 3 on the deck. Sarah Wright shooting at the 3 for a spare. Here she goes. She's on it. That's a spare for Sarah Wright. 38 after 4 and a bonus for Sarah Wright. Perfect on the head pin so far. If you've never seen Candlepin bowling, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you and hope you enjoy what you're watching. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Your continued viewership is greatly appreciated. If you like this content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel for more exciting matches. The Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook. That's a 6 fill for Sarah Wright on the head pin. And another split. 4, 6, 3, 7. And Sarah's on the 3 and leaves the 4 and the 6, as well as the 7. And Sarah will take one more out. That will be an 8-box. 8-box for Sarah Wright. And that puts Sarah Wright with one mark, 52 after 5. I said, here we go, 52 after 5 for Sarah Wright. That's the story of the first half for Sarah Wright. So we're going to say hello to Joe DeAlmeida. Joe Moose DeAlmeida. Starting now. And he opens with a thunderous first ball and a 7-drop. Three, 6, 10 for Moose. And Moose will spare it up. He's on the board. That's a spare after 1 for Joe DeAlmeida. To be continued. 10 and a bonus after 1. That's a headpin shot for Moose. It's a 5 fill. 15 after 1. And he fires. And he's just a little off the object pin. He leaves the 3 on the deck. But he'll clean up for a 10-box for 25 after 2 for Mr. Joe Moose DeAlmeida. And that's a split. 7-drop. Pin way out of play. So Sarah Wright will go down to retrieve it. In the meantime, let's... One moment. Well, I fixed that. Talk about Joe Moose DeAlmeida, currently first place in Class C North Division 2. And he's 91 and 35 on the season record. And after the wood was removed, Moose punches out a few more, leaves the 7 and the 10. Yes, Joe Moose DeAlmeida is 91 and 35 with 9 matches played. He has a home record of 59 and 25 with 6 matches played at home. That is a 9-box for Moose. 34 after 3. When he's away, he's 32 and 10 with 3 matches played, a 3.20 win-loss ratio. Season average 108.4. When he's at home here at Riverwalk, his home average is 108.3. And Moose will punch the right side, the 3-pin out. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6. And for the spare, he's on the 1-2 pocket on the object, but leaves the 9, the 10. No mark for Moose. On the 9, the 10. He'll clean up for a 10-box. Great janitorial work. Our bowlers are tied at 44 after 4. With 1 to go before we say hello to Sarah Wright once more. Moose. On the head pin, drops 7. 5, 6, 3 on the deck. Hop, skip, and jump second ball. He's on the 3-6, and the 3-pin doesn't connect with the 5. It just flies out of play. That's no mark for Moose. And he'll clean up for a 10-box. That puts him at 54 after 5. You're on the ACST, and I'm Steve Kelly on the call. So 54 after 5 for Joe DeAlmeida, and 52 after 5 for Sarah Wright. At the end of the first half of the first game here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. And we're going to be switching over to Sarah Wright again. So Sarah Wright, her season record is 73 and 95 with 12 matches played. When she's away, she's 36 and 62 with 5 matches played. And here's Sarah Wright. thin hit, not quite on the head pin. Sarah Wright plays the left 3 a little lightly. No mark. She's left with the 10 pin for a 10 box. With a 9 box guarantee here at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. 10 box for Sarah Wright, 62 after 6. And those scores are confirmed as I'm able to lean over and see the paper copy. Sarah Wright now on lane 3. She's a little off to the right of the head pin. She was perfect in the first half on the head pin, and now she's having a little bit of trouble finding it. 1, 2, 4, 7, 10. She's left with the 2, 7, 10 on the spare attempt. For the 10 box, it'll be a 7. 69 after 7 for Sarah Wright. For some reason, all of my graphics just need to wake up a little bit. There we go. Sarah Wright currently 71% on the head pin. Joe DeAlmeida 80%. Sarah's on the head pin that time. She'll take a split. 7, 10, 4, 6, 3. And Wright will fire on the 10 and leave the 4, 6, 3, 7. For the 10 box, she'll collide with the 3, and it's going to be a 7 for Sarah Wright. 76 in 8. 1 mark for Sarah Wright so far. She has a season average of 101.95. When she's away, her average is 100.9. Her home average is 103 by comparison. When she's at home at Lila Lanes, her record is 37 and 33 on the season. That's a 1-3 pocket shot for Sarah Wright and a 6 drop. The left side inverted check mark. It's the 4, 6, 2, 7. Sarah Wright is right on it for a spare. That's 86 through 9 plus a bonus for Sarah Wright. Sparing it up. Sarah Wright for the season, her high single is 131. And her high series is 559. She has 11 strikes, 105 spares, and 158 10 boxes for the season. She holds a lot of superlatives, particularly for the 10 boxes, and that's a 7 fill for Sarah Wright. 93 through 9. She's on the right side triangle on the 9, 10, 6. She sends it, but she's a little bit too full to take all 3. She takes 2 of the 3, leaves the 10. For the 10 box, she'll take a 10. She'll open up with a 103. Currently over average for her away par. But yes, Sarah Wright will go 8 for 10 on the head pin and go 5 for 10 on splits, or 5 for 8 on splits specifically. But she has a 103 in the first game. Joe DeAlmeida will return to the approaches with a 54 half. Benchmark is 103 or greater to take points. Starting now. He's a little off. It's a 5 drop for Joe DeAlmeida. And he's on the 1-3 pocket, and he'll spare it up. See if we can get a replay of that. There's Joe DeAlmeida on the spare on the 1-3 pocket with the kick up the sidewall to take it out. And Moose will fill with 7 on the head pin. That's the 4-5-2 for those keeping score at home. And Moose will miss off to the left. So no second spare. He's at 71-6. Currently ahead of Sarah Wright, 62-6. That'll be an 8-box for Moose, 79-7. And the 103 for Sarah Wright is confirmed as I glance over. So again, talking about Joe Moose DeAlmeida as a high single of 142 this season, high series 590. He's a little off target. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10. He'll take the 2 and the 4. It's now the 1, the 7, the 9, the 10. And he'll split the difference for a 9, 88-8. Moose has 23 strikes, 66 spares, and 77 tens for the season. He has a perfect box percentage of 46%. He has 4,876 seasonal total pins. And he'll drop 7 to the right of the head pin. The 1, the 2, and the 7 are on the deck. Here comes Moose on the 1, 2, 7. And he'll spare that up, you betcha. Spare for Moose. Let's get another look at that on the 1, 2, 7. Fires on it and mows them all down. And here he comes on the spare. Will be a strike. Nearly. The 8-pin stands tall. 9 on the spare. But he'll pick it up, though. That's 117 and a bonus for Moose, so he'll take the first game with 4 marks. 1 to go before he sits, and we assess the totals. On the head pin, he'll fill with 8. That'll be 125. Game 1 for Moose. 4 marks. And 6 for 10 on the head pin with 2 splits, but 4 spares and 4 well-filled spares. Results in a 125. Game 1 for Moose. So that will be the first game. We shall move on now to the second game here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Joe DeAlmeida leads by 22 in the first game. 125 to Sarah's 103. Now, Sarah Wright's time, down on lane 3 at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. She's off to the left, and that will be a 6-pack. Check her ID. Sarah Wright on the 6-pack. Oh, and on the right pocket, but she leaves the 5. The 5-pin is often tough to fall in many Candlepin houses. This was no exception. That'll be a 9-box opener for Sarah Wright, 9 after 1. Sarah Wright has a perfect box percentage of 46%. She has 6,109 seasonal total pins this season so far. She's off to the left of the head pin. Takes a left side Candlepin corner. Second ball, she'll spare it up. 19 after 2 for Sarah Wright. Here's that shot again in case you missed it. Nice smooth ball on the 1-3 pocket. Pushed them all down. Sarah Wright is working on a spare. 1-2 pocket. Drops 7. That's Sarah Wright on the 4-5-3. She fires a little bit too much off to the right. Takes 1 for her efforts. She said, I had one job. Sarah Wright's going to fire on the 3 and the 5. And she'll clean up for a 10 box. That's why Sarah Wright is known for 10s. That's 36 after 3 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright is 3rd place in Class C North Division 3. She's the 11th seed in Class C North overall. She is number 2 in all of the ACST in terms of total 10 boxes at 158. And number 1 in the ACST North for total 10s at 158. She's off to the left. Takes a few out. Wright's on the 1-2 pocket and leaves the bucket of 5 on the right side. It's the 3, 5, 6, 9, 10 for Sarah Wright. And another 10 box for Sarah Wright. Remember what I said about the 10 boxes? Sarah Wright does not disappoint. That's 46 after 4 for Sarah Wright in the top half of the second, with 1 box to go. Sarah Wright is the 23rd highest Class C North average at 101.95. She has the number 10th Class C North total spares at 105. And the number 1 Class C North total 10s at 158. It's Sarah Wright with a 9 drop on the head pin. Leaves all but the 5 pin on the deck. Single pin spare, staring Sarah Wright down. Directly down the center, the king pin, the 5 pin. She's right on it. She's all over it. That will be 56 after 5 for Sarah Wright. 2 marks, 2 spares, 56 to be continued. 56 and a ball for Sarah Wright after 5. That will be the story. Of the first half of the second game, she's at 159, 1.5 game total. Now we'll say hello to Joe Moose DeAlmeida once again. He's currently number 1 in Class C North Division 2 and the number 1 seed in Class C North overall. It's off to the right of the head pin. 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10. On the 6-10 pocket. Leaves the 1, 3, 8. Bouncy ball. It'll be a 9 for Joe DeAlmeida. Here's Joe's stats again. Mr. Moose. He has the 8th highest Class C North average at 108.4. Number 6 Class C North average strike fill at 9. Number 8 Class C North high series at 590. And the number 2 Class C North average spare fill at 5.7. That'll be a 7 drop and a spare for Moose. 8, 9, 10. Three sticks on deck. Have to pick one, but he misses. 7, 8, 9, 10 for Moose. He'll be an 8 box for 17 after 2. And there's a strike for Moose. How often do you get to say that? Here's the replay on that. It was a fast one. Caught me off guard even, but there was the strike. Kaboom on the 1-3 pocket. So Here's Moose on the double. And nearly a double. He drops 9, leaving the 10 on the deck. Moose is hunting for a 10-pin for a spare. He'll play the wood, and the wood will not play back. Didn't play it direct. So it'll be a 9 fill on the strike. And a 9 box, 45 after 4 for Moose compared to Sarah Wright's 46 after 4. Moose has taken 51 points in his past 5 matches, averaging 10.2 points per match. And he's off to the right of the headpin, drops 7, 1, 3, 8 on the deck. For the spare. Nice full shot for Moose. 55. And a bonus for Joe DeAlmeida with that strike and spare in the half. So our bowlers are nearly identical. Sarah Wright, 56 and a ball. Joe Moose DeAlmeida, 55 and a ball. And here's that spare in case you missed it, as our bowlers swap bowling balls on the racks. It was a full shot in the 1-2 pocket, and that was everything. At Riverwalk Lanes, the ball returns are a little bit different than other houses. And after, when the bowlers switch lanes, they set to switch balls across both ball returns, as the lane pairings are opposite of one another compared to where it usually is in other houses. Sarah Wright fires. In the 1-3 pocket, that will be a fill of 5 on her spare. Three, 4, 6, 7, 10 for Sarah Wright. She'll take the right, leave the left. It's the 4 and the 7 on the deck. That will be a 10 for Sarah Wright, 71 after 6. Sarah Wright has been averaging 5 points per match. She's taken 25 points in her past 5 matches, totaling 24.95 seasonal total pins, averaging 4.99 per match. Sarah Wright drops 7 on the left of the head pin, leaves the 1, the 3, and the 7 on the deck. And Sarah Wright will just narrowly miss. 137 for Sarah Wright for a 10 box. 7 box guarantee. And it will be a 7. 78 and 7 for Sarah Wright. Sarah drops 6, leaves the 1, 3, 9, 10 on the deck. And it's just a little off, leaves the 1, 3, 10. She'll settle for a 9. 87 and 8. Sarah Wright's 11 for 18 on the head pin with 6 splits. 2 marks this game, 4 marks in the match. Sarah was off to the right on the first ball. Takes a right side Candlepin corner. Leaves all but the kingpin on the spare attempt. That will be a 10 box for Sarah Wright, 97 and 9. Sarah Wright's right on the head pin, drops 8, 6, 10. With wood across the 6 and the 10. Sarah Wright has one match at or over 550, 6 of 12 matches at or over 500. Her longest streak of matches, strings at or over 100 has been 8, and that's a spare for Sarah Wright. 107 and a ball. Sarah Wright's longest streak of matches at or over 500 has been 4. Her number of matches with double-digit wins has been 3 so far this season, of 12. That'll be an 8 fill for Sarah Wright. I believe that will it be a 1:15-second game. I'll just pause to take a look at that. And that is confirmed, 1:15 for Sarah Wright, 3 marks, 2:18, 2-game total. Moose on the spare. He'll fill with 5. He was not on the head pin. Take 3 more out for the road, leaving the 7 and the 8. That's 68 and 6 for Moose with that 8 box. Moose will drop 6 on the head pin with the left side accordion. It's the 7-8-4-5. We'll take 2, leave 2. The 4 and the 7 are left on the deck. That'll be a 10 box for Moose, and that'll be 78 and 7. So Joe Moose DeAlmeida has 1 strike, 5 spares. Sarah Wright has 0 strikes and 5 spares. Both bowlers hovering roughly 60% on the head pin so far. Moose will split, leaving the 5 and the 10 on the first ball. Second ball's for a spare. Difficult split on the 5-10. He'll take 1 and leave the 10. He'll clean up for a 10, second 10 box in a row. That's 88 and 8 for Moose. Compare that to Sarah Wright's 87 and 8, so this is a competitive second game. Here at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. He'll drop 7, leaving the 1-2-4. And he'll nearly spare it up. He was a little bit too full on the head pin on the 1-2. The 4 is left on the deck. That'll be a 10 box for Moose. His third 10 box in a row, 98 and 9. He needs a mark to take the second game. A mark and a decent fill, nonetheless. And that will certainly not help. That's a quarter Worcester. Not even a half Worcester. He punched the 3 and only the 3. And Moose is on the headpin the second ball, but not much better. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that will be the second game for Sarah Wright. He'll fight for a 9 and get a 9. That'll be 107 for Moose. 2-game total of 232 for Moose, up in the total by 14, but Sarah Wright will take the second game, 115 to Moose's 107. 218, 2-game total for Sarah Wright versus 232 for Joe Moose DeAlmeida. That will be the story of the second game. And where are we today? We're at Riverwalk Lanes, 8-lane house stuffed in Amesbury, Massachusetts. Used to be called Lafayette Lanes. Mark Ritchie owns the place. Home of the King of the River tournament. Sarah Wright's going to start on lane 4. Sarah Wright leads off on the headpin with a 9 drop. It looked like a split, but the pin's mixed down. For a spare on the single. Looks good. And it is good. Spare for Sarah Wright. And all of the scores before this point are also confirmed, as I see on the paper copy. Sarah Wright on a single pin spare. She'll be filling that spare soon here. That's a 5 fill for Sarah Wright to the right of the headpin. 4 horsemen left side and the 9 pin on the deck. One, 2, 4, 7, 9. She'll take 2, leave 3. 1, the 2, and the 9. For a 10 box for Sarah Wright. She'll cap the wood and take the 1 and the 2, but leave the 9 pin. That's a 9 box for Sarah Wright, 24 after 2. Sarah Wright's longest winning streak, greater than 7 points per match, has been 3 this season. Her headpin average per match has been 25.2 per 50. Her split average, 13.6. She averages 7.2 points per away match. Sarah Wright's to the left of the headpin. Takes a few out on the left half. 6-pack on the right and the 7 pin. And second ball's a little off target. She leaves the 1, the 5, and the 3 on the deck. That'll be a 9 for Wright, 33 and 3. So yes, again, we're in Amesbury, Massachusetts. If you're on 495, you just keep going down the highway to exit 118. So it's like if you're driving to Academy lanes, but you just keep going and take a few exits later, and you'll be in Amesbury. Here comes Sarah Wright. To the left of the headpin, again, 6-pack right side and the 7. 1, 5, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10. Sarah Wright will take the right half, and now she's got a very continuously symmetrical shot. The thong shot, 1-7-10-5. And it will be an awkward 6-box for Sarah Wright, 30-39 after 4. Sarah Wright's suddenly having some trouble finding the head pin this game, only 1 for 4. Overall, she's 13 for 24 on the head pin with 6 splits. 54% head pin percentage for Sarah Wright. That's been dipping a little bit. She was towards 60% previously. Now she's down to 54. Jo Moose DeAlmeida holds steady at 55. 13 splits for Sarah Wright, 11 for Moose. So the split... 6 splits for Sarah Wright, 4 splits for Moose. The split differential system provided by the universe has been somewhat forgiving so far this match. The split distribution system. It's kind of like the cat distribution system. Same mechanism that created it. Wright drops 10, leaves the 2 and the 4. For a spare. Just a little bit off, leaves the 2, takes the 4. And Wright will take a 10. That's 49 after 5 for Sarah Wright. And with 1 mark, it is confirmed 49 for Sarah Wright. Bookending the half with 1 head pin shot on the 1st and 5th frames. Here comes Moose. To the right of the head pin. 1, 2, 7, 9, 10. Moose on the 1, 2, 7, 9, 10. He punches 1, leaves the 1, the 7, the 9, and the 10. The pin that was hit was the 2. And Moose will settle for an 8-box to start out. Jo DeAlmeida is the only one with a strike so far this match. And he'll lemon drop the 6-pin. That's a $1 donation to Candlepins per cancer per occurrence when you punch out the 4 or the 6-pin. And Moose will correct a little bit to the left, but he's still got the 1, the 2, the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10 to contend with down there. It'll take an awkward 6-box. That's the 2, the 7, the 8, and the 10. Talking more about Jo Moose DeAlmeida. When he's away, his average is 108.5. That's about even with his home average of 108.3. In his past 5 matches, he's totaled 27-10 pins in total pinfall, averaging 542 pins per match. Head pin average per match, 26.1 for 50. Split average per match, 14.3. He averages 9.83 points per home match and 10.67 points per away match. Split for Moose, 7 drop, and he'll take that for a spare. I think I got the replay. Look at that, 3-9-10. Everything goes for Moose. And that's a strike on spare for Moose. I think we got it on a replay. We'll take a look at that. Look at that strike. It was the 3-pin. That was the last to fall. 44 and a bonus through 4. For the strike fill first ball, he washes out a few. It's a 6-pack. Check his ID. Left side 6-pack specifically. Oh, and he's just off. So unfortunately, it's going to be a 4 fill on the strike for 48 after 4. He'll clean up for an 8 box. That'll be 56 and 5 for Moose. With that strike on spare, but the 4 fill. Up by 7 in the game over Sarah Wright's 49.5. But Sarah Wright is still in it. The difference in the total is 21 in favor of Moose right now. 288 to Sarah Wright's 267. But everything, I would argue, is still competitive as of right now. Both bowlers took 1 game, so they're even in terms of points there. So we're going to say hello to Sarah Wright. On the left lane. Lane 3. Riverwalk Lanes, Amesbury, Massachusetts. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. Great to have you along. Sarah Wright was on the head pin, takes a few pins out. Pile of pins in the center. 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. And she's a little full, which is the right idea, but she leaves the 4 and the 9. It wasn't quite full enough and didn't quite get enough of a splash at the same time. And Sarah will sail right through for an 8 box for 57 and 6. Sarah Wright is 14 for 26 on the head pin with 6 splits. Joe DeAlmeida, 13 for 25 on the head pin with 5 splits. So Sarah Wright and Moose are almost identical in terms of the head pins and splits, so it's a very tight match in terms of the more granular stats. Sarah Wright's going to be on the head pin there and drops 7. Center triangle, 5, 8, 9 with wood. Possibly favorable wood. The wood, I think, is all angled the right way. As long as the ball doesn't sail horribly off target, things should be okay. Except there. She redlines the right wood, kicks away the 5. Nothing else falls. Right for the 8, 9, or 10. It'll be a 9. 66 and 7 for Sarah Wright. So Sarah Wright recently faced Andy Klempa at Cape Ann Lanes in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I covered that match. She threw an 85, 92, 96, 105, and 86, and that's a split for Sarah Wright right there, a 7 drop. It's the 5, 6, 10. With some wood to help, and I think it could go. And nearly goes, but she was just off target. The 5 pin stays. Sarah Wright took 2 points against Andy Klempa down in Gloucester. With 1 strike, 2 spares, and 16-10. She threw 22 head pin shots and 17 splits, and there's a 10 box for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright is known for 10 boxes. Sarah Wright finished the 2023-2024 ACST season, 2nd place in D North Division 1. Then she was promoted to Class C North. She averaged 101.22 last year. She went 156 and 96 last year in the regular season. And Sarah will miss the head pin. She's got the 4, 3, 1, 7, 10. She's shooting at. Sarah Wright. She's right on the pocket, and the left side sidewall just didn't play nice. Stuff with the 4 and the 7. No spare for Sarah Wright. 8, 9, or 10. It'll be a 10. Why did I think it was going to be anything else? It's another 10 box for Sarah Wright that she's known for. 86 and 9. 3 10s this game, 1 spare. She's currently over the 300 threshold and averaging over 100 officially in as of 3 games. And we're not even done. 1 box to go. Sarah Wright, final first ball of the 3rd game. To the left of the head pin. Drops 7. Drops 8. The 1 and the 8 are left on the deck. Sarah Wright on the 1 and the 8. It nearly goes. That's on the 1 and the 8. The 1 went, the 8 does not. So Sarah will finish with a 9 box for 95 in the 3rd game. So overall, she is still averaging over 100 with a 313 triple. 103, 115, 95 for Sarah Wright. And we'll assess the totals and the leads and everything at the end of this next half as Moose returns to the playing field at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. The decks and the approaches of the old school Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. Again, we're at Riverwalk Lanes, established in 2013. Mark Ritchie is the owner of the place. He is awesome to talk to. If you're ever here, just strike up a conversation with him. Always fun to talk to, Mark Ritchie. So here comes Moose. It's the left of the head pin. Drops 6, 1, 3, 6, 7 on the deck. 1, 3, 6, 8. And he fires on the 1, and that's all he hits. It's kind of a pinball bouncy shot. Not much. And he'll take another out for an 8 box. That's 3 and 8. Left on the deck for an 8 box for Moose. And Moose will drop 6. It's the 1, the 2, the 7, and the 10 for a spare opportunity for Moose. 1, 2, 7, 10. I would hit the right side of the 1. I would not consider that wood to be reliable in front of the 2. And here he goes. Oh, and the ball got a little bit stuffed. The 10 pin was not touched. And he fires on the head pin, on the 10 pin for a 10 box. That's 74 and 7 for Moose. And Moose will split it up. Takes 6 so far. 7, 10, 2, 5. And he'll spare it up. Moose will take a spare, 84 and 8. And if I didn't get distracted, I think I got a replay of that. Well, yeah, hit the button a little bit too late. Oh well. 84 and 8 for Moose. Here we go. Filling a spare. Oh, and that'll be a 2 fill for Moose. $86 and 8, and he'll spare that up, and I do have a replay of that one. Take a look at that, just a pile of pins. Would have been a strike in another universe, but that was the replay for Moose. On the head pin, that was a much better fill. He fills with 9, 105 and 9, and he will take the 3rd game. Joe Moose DeAlmeida starting to pull ahead here. Until just missed the left of the 5. No 3rd mark. He has 4 marks this game. He has secured the 3rd game. That will be 10. That'll be a 115 game 3 for Moose. 3-game total of 347 for Joe Moose DeAlmeida, with 3 strikes and 1 spare. And I'm going to double check the scores real quick, because I think there is a discrepancy. It would appear he has a 117, so I'm just going to double check what happened there. Okay, I think I got it. It would appear that he had a 6 on his strike fill on the official paper copy that I'm looking at now. So, again, I follow what the bowlers have on the official copy, which is their copy. The stream copy is always unofficial. So 95 for Sarah Wright is confirmed, and it's 117 for Joe DeAlmeida. It was a 6 fill on the strike. And there's a chance I just got it wrong, so luckily I was able to grab the paper copy and confirm. So it is going to be a 3-game total of 349 for Joe Moose DeAlmeida, with a 125, a 107, and a 117. Sarah Wright with a 103, 115, and a 95, a 3-game total of 313. In the total, Moose is leading by 36 with a 3-game total of 349 versus Sarah Wright's 313. In the third game, Joe took he threw a 117 and leads by 22 over Sarah Wright's 95. In terms of the head pins, Sarah Wright is actually on top at the moment with a 53% completion percentage, 16 for 30. And Joe is currently 15 for 30 on the head pin. Sarah Wright has one more split than Joe, 7 to his 6. And in terms of the fills, though, this is the big one. Joe is filling a totaling 70 in fills, averaging 7 per mark. Sarah Wright just a little bit under, around half of that, 36 in the fill totals, averaging 6.3 per mark. And the bowlers are just out having, they're taking a break real quick. So again, here's Joe Moose DeAlmeida's stats. Again, he is currently first in Class C North. He has had a banner season. He was in Class B North last year, and then he went down to C. But he's definitely raring to get back up there. So he's number 1 in his division and the number 1 seed in C North overall entirely. Season average 108.4, high 1 of 142, and a high 5 of 590, nearly a 600. And then by comparison, Sarah Wright, currently the 11th seed in C North. She's number 3 in her division, C North Division 3. So that's the story. Anyways, I think we're just about ready to get started. Sarah Wright, our away bowler, is back and is ready to go. Here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, I'm Steve Kelly on the call. Great to have you along, as always. Sarah Wright in the 1-3 pocket. Splits it up, drops 8. It's going to be a doozy of a split. But there is a piece of wood down there, so we'll see what Sarah Wright has to say about that. On the 8 and the 10, with a piece of wood to the left of the 8, that wood might help. And a little bit too full, Sarah Wright is on that shot. So it'll just be a shot on the 10 pin for a 10 box for Sarah Wright. And Sarah Wright will take a 9, a disappointing 9 in there, but it was kind of just the making lemons out of lemonade in terms of that. So a 9 opener for Sarah Wright with a headpin shot and a split to start things out. In the 4th game of 5 here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. We have a couple of ACST matches coming up here. At the conclusion of this match, we're going to have a double header with Dominic Palladino, Justin Ruggiero, Brian Patton, and Tony Delmonico. That will be coming up shortly after this match ends. I believe I might be streaming that. I think Paul Grant will be here too, so there might be a bit of a collab there. Don't quite know how that's gonna shake out, but we'll find out as the bowlers come here, and they're not here yet. So we'll find out as the bowlers and Paul arrive, and we'll work all that out. So stay tuned. We'll be probably right back here on these same 2 lanes, and in all reality, I'm probably just gonna leave this whole setup just stood up for that match as well. It just might be Paul Grant on the mic. That's a 5 box for Sarah Wright, a hard-fought 5. 14 after 2. Sarah Wright perfect on the head pins so far this game, but also perfect on splits. And not in a good way. Here comes Sarah Wright. And she's to the left of the head pin and drops 5. It's the 1, 3, 6, 8, 10 on the deck. No mark. She's just got a working ball and a working box down there. And it will be an 8 for Sarah Wright. That's 22 after 3. Sarah Wright has 0 strikes so far. She's still hunting for them. Joe Moose DeAlmeida has found 2. Sarah Wright has 6 spares. Moose has 8. Sarah Wright still ahead in the head pin department, 55% to Moose's 50%. Here comes Sarah Wright. She's off to the left. Gets a mix of 5, more than I thought she was going to get. The 4, 6, 1, 3, 7. And she's a little bit off, leaves the 1, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. And that'll be a 9 for Sarah Wright. Struggling a bit this half. She's at 31 after 4. Sarah Wright last season had the number 8th highest seasonal total pins at 9,110 and was only one of 8 who cracked 9,000 pins in Class D North. And Sarah Wright punches right through the center as a spread eagle minus the 10. Splits it up. Sarah Wright's been markless this game. 3 for 5 on the head pin, but with 3 splits. Pin's just kind of going dead on Sarah down there. And 3 almost takes 2. 3 takes 1. The 3 pin is the only pin left on the deck for Sarah Wright. For a 10 box, about the best she could have done with that. She'll take a 10, of course. That's 41 after 5 for Sarah Wright. So markless in this half for Sarah Wright, and I think that might have been the first time that's happened, in the first half at least. 41 after 5 for Sarah Wright, 54% head pin percentage, 19 for 35. So we'll see if Joe Moose DeAlmeida can capitalize on that. Let's see what he can do. Here he goes. Here's Moose. Moose on the hunt. Head pin 7 drop. 3, 6, 7. He is ready to go. And look at that. That was a fantastic spare and a cut shot by Joe Moose DeAlmeida. Watch that. And I like the little gesture he had at the end. He was just like, yeah, that goes, but watch that. Look at that go. To the left. And there was a piece of wood that I swear just zipped right through. That thing moved quickly. So that's 10 and a bonus after 1 for Moose. Here we go on the spare. Oh, and he punches. He gets his split now. It's a 5 fill. Two, 3, 4, 6, 10. And 2 doesn't take 3. 2 only takes 2. And it's not the opposite 2. It's just the 2 that he hit. It's 3, 6, 10 for a 10 box for Moose. He punches. That's an 8 box. 23 after 2 for Moose. Thanks for tuning in to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, the best place to watch some of the most exciting Candlepin matches from a wide selection of bowlers from all skill levels. And there's a strike for Moose, making it look easy. A fast strike. Watch this. Just watch it go. Right down the center on the 1-2 pocket. The ball bounced all over, and all the pins go. Moose on the strike for the double. Drops 8 so far. He really wanted that, and it was a perfect ball for a strike, but he leaves the 5 and the 9 on the deck. So 8 so far. The 5 and the 9 for Moose. Piece of wood kind of rolling in and out of purview. The idea, though, is try to avoid that wood. But Moose avoids everything. No mark. And an 8 fill on the strike for 41 after 3. And he plays the wood, unfortunately caps it. That's what I was worried about. That's a 9 box and a 50 for Moose after 4. He's perfect on the head pin with 2 splits this game. He's 19 for 34 on the head pin with 8 splits overall. Moose, 3 strikes, 9 spares. To the right of the head pin, drops 5. Well, he was perfect on the head pin this half until then. Got a piece of wood rolling out of play safely. 1, 2, 4, 7, 8 for Moose for a spare. And he runs down the 4 horsemen, but doesn't take the 8. Or the 9, excuse me. For the 10 box. He'll take that 10. And that will be the half. Moose up by 19 with that 60 half. Oops. To Sarah Wright's 41 after 5. And in the total, Joe Moose DeAlmeida is currently up by 55, 409, 3.5 game total versus Sarah Wright's 354, 3.5 game total. Both bowlers exactly the same in terms of the head pins. 19 for 35 across the board. 10 splits for Sarah Wright, though, to Moose's 8. That's the difference right there. But again, the difference has really come down to, well, not only the splits, but the fill totals. Moose is totaling 83 in bonus pins, averaging 6.9 per mark. Sarah Wright totaling 38, averaging 6.3 per mark. So the averages are about the same, but the total that Moose has accumulated has really skyrocketed. Sarah Wright will split it up with an 8 drop, 5-7. Moose encourages Sarah, shot of the day. Show him the shot of the day. Let's see if it's the shot of the day. Will it be the shot of the day? Not quite. Stage fright. Sarah Wright for the not shot of the day. And it will be a 9 box, leaving the 5 on the deck. Moose, 3 strikes, 9 spares. Sarah Wright, no strikes yet. She's still hunting for them, but she has 6 spares. To the left of the head pin, Sarah Wright drops 4. 4 horsemen right, and the 7 and the 8. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 10. She's just a little off target. She takes a few, leaves 2. The 1 and the 8 are left on the deck. There's a piece of wood between the 1 and the 8. And one kind of to the left of the 8 as well. And she'll take one out for a 9. That's 59 in 7 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright, 73 and 95 for the season with 12 matches played so far with a .77 win-loss ratio. She's on the head pin with a thick hit and a split, an 8 drop. It's the 4 and the 10 on the deck for Sarah Wright. And she'll take the 4, but didn't quite angle it. So there wasn't really a whole lot she could have done there. So it'll be a 10-pin shot for a 10 box with a piece of wood across the 10-pin. 9 or 10 for Sarah Wright. It'll be a 10, 69 and 8 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright, 55% head pin completion percentage, 21 for 38. 12 splits, 6.3 average fill on the marks for Sarah. Again, she's really trying to find a strike here at Riverwalk Lanes. It's been proving difficult. She's on the head pin there. Splits again, 5-7-9 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright, her 13th split and 22nd head pin shot. Here comes Sarah Wright. Oh, and that was a pretty spare for Sarah Wright. Excellent, excellent spare. No wood either. 5, 9, 7. The 5 and the 9 she shoots at, and the 5 kicks over to the 7. That was Sarah Wright's spare. Here she goes, filling that spare now. Sarah Wright working on a spare. On the 1-2 pocket, drops 8. Fills with 8. Splits 8. Another split. It's the 5 and the 6 for Sarah Wright. They're just analyzing the shot. See, this is kind of the fun part of Candlepin bowling. Sometimes, you could be bowling against someone, but every once in a while, they might also give you some pointers. So there's Sarah Wright and Moose just talking it over. I mean, personally, I would just play the wood on the left, maybe just redline it. That's my thought. Sometimes some of these shots, you just... Honestly, the less you think, the better it is. So my uneducated advice would be just to redline it. But we'll see what Sarah Wright does. She just tries to cap it, and it goes. See, that's why I'm not bowling right now. Sarah Wright gets a spare on spare. And again, let's watch that. I was a little worried about that not going, but look at that. She capped it and got some sidewall action. And that was sort of probably some center exclusive pin and ball action bouncing off the sidewalls, and they're very active at Riverwalk in particular. Sarah Wright, final ball of the 4th game on the head pin. She'll fill with 5. That'll be 102, game 4 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright really salvaging the game with 2 marks at the end. 102 for a 4-game total of 415, and those scores are confirmed for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright, 23 for 40 on the head pin with 14 splits. A lot of splits for Sarah Wright. We're going to see if Joe Moose DeAlmeida is just as unlucky, but Sarah Wright is really... She's been hitting the head pin, but just the reward for it hasn't been great so far. And that's just the nature of Candlepin bowling sometimes. You can throw a perfect ball, and sometimes you just won't really get much out of it. So, anyways, here comes Moose to close out the 4th game. Here's Moose. Oh my goodness, and he is getting about as much luck as Sarah Wright got. That was a head pin shot, if you could believe that. Look at that, the 7-10, 4-5, 6-2. Or 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. And he punches straight down the center. 7, 10, 4, 5, 2 now for Moose. No mark. 5 box or greater. And he'll take one more out. That's a rough 6 box for Moose. 66 and 6 for Moose versus 50 and 6 for Wright. Still ahead, but he's got to probably get a mark or 2. Although he doesn't necessarily have to if you can just go all 10s. So it's not required, but it would be helpful. And he's on the 1-2 pocket again, and wow, 2 in a row like that on the head pin, and got, rewarded kind of a bag of crap for it. 7, 8, 9, 10, 4, 3 for Moose. And for his efforts, he leaves 2 on the deck. It's the 8 and the 10. And the wood doesn't help either. That'll be an 8 box for Moose. 74 and 7. The current situation. Moose 57% on the head pin today. Sarah Wright 58%. Really good head pin percentages overall. 7 drop and a split for Moose. 7, 9, 10. See, statistically, you can start talking about like bowlers that hit the head pin really consistently, and then you can start talking about, okay, that's a huge qualifier in terms of high scores, but you can also talk about the splits and the rip-offs that happen when you do hit your targets and things just don't go. So there's something to be said about that. That'll be a 10 box for Moose. That's 84 and 8 with 2 boxes to go to close out the 4th game here. This 4th game of 5 in this 5-game series of the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. I'm Steve Kelly for the ACST and 3-ball spare conglomerate. Great to have you along with us as always. And Moose to the right of the head pin. He drops 5, 1, 2, 4, 7, 10. Let's see if he can run these down. And he's just off target. The head pin is the only one that stays, and that was the one he had to hit. But he'll clean up for a 10. Second 10 box in a row, 94 and 9. He needs an 8 box to tie, and anything greater than an 8 box to take the 4th game. I'd say Moose is in good positioning right now. He fires that hop, skip, and a jump approach he has. He's on the head pin. That's a bucket of 5 shot. He needs 3 more to tie. 3 more pins to tie. Oh, and he's just a little bit full, but that is a tie. 1 more pin to take the 4th game. And he'll take the 4th game with that 10 box, 104 to 102. By my count, and I will confirm those scores in just a moment. And those scores are indeed confirmed. 415 4-game total for Sarah Wright. 453 4-game total for Joe DeAlmeida. He's up in the total by 38, and he took the 4th game by just 2. Currently 6 points for Moose and 2 points for Sarah Wright. As of right now, both bowlers 23 for 40 on the head pin, 58%. Sarah Wright is unluckier in terms of the splits. And here comes Sarah Wright on the head pin. Once again on the head pin with a split 6 drop. 7-10, 3-6. Sarah Wright nearly makes 3 take 1. She takes the right side 3, but the 7 stays. For the 10 box, Sarah Wright will take a 9 box. Sarah Wright's perfect box percentage is 46%. 6,109 seasonal total pins. Also, while we're thinking about it, let's talk about Candlepins for Cancer. Check out candlepins4cancer.com, run by Al Johnson and Paul Grant there in the photo, to sign up for qualifying roll-offs or to donate. Candlepins for Cancer is a fantastic charity organization for helping those in the Candlepin bowling community with cancer treatments and whatnot. So, great cause, great community, great people. Check it out, candlepins4cancer.com. They also run bowling tournaments and the ladder series. It's actually here at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts, and the qualifiers just concluded, and they'll be doing the top 5 ladder series very soon here. It's a 5-dropper. So Sarah Wright on the kingpin, 9 box or 10 box. And it will be a 10 for Sarah Wright, 19 after 2 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright yet to find a strike. Moose has found 3. She has 8 spares to Moose's 9. 60% head pins for Sarah Wright, 58% for Moose. Sarah Wright. Soft to the left of the head pin by just a little bit. 13710 is what she's shooting at. One 13710 on lane 4 of Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. This is 8-lane house. Small building, small house. And she'll punch the 3, leaving the 1-7-10. The TV shot. Big prizes if you can make this shot on the old Channel 5 show. And Sarah Wright will take 2 of the 3. Said she almost did it. It's a 9-box, 28 after 3 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright isn't on the head pin there. She drops 6, 1, 2, 8, 9. One, 2, 8, 9 for Sarah Wright. For a spare. Light hit on the head pin. She's left with the 2, 8, 9. It's a rough shot. And you don't really see that shot all that often, even. So this will be a 10-box, 7-box guarantee. And it will be a 9 for Sarah Wright, 37 after 4. Sarah Wright markless so far, 2 for 4 on the head pin this game with 1 split, 37 after 4, 3 9s and a 10. This is the final frame of the final first half of the match for Sarah Wright today. Sarah Wright to the right of the head pin, half Worcesters it on the 3-9. So she punched the 3 and the 9 for a half Worcester. We saw a quarter Worcester earlier. This is a half. That was coined during a WCBB Channel 5 TV tournament where someone punched it and they said it was a guy from Worcester and they said he's halfway back to Worcester. Now she takes 2 more out, takes a 6-10 out, leaves a 6-pack on the left side. Sarah Wright, 1, 5, 2, 7, 8, 4. For a 10-box. She fires. And oof, that's going to be a 4. So that will be 41 after 5 for Sarah Wright. 456, 4.5 game total. Markless. Again, second game in a row she's markless. So we'll see if Moose can capitalize on the lack of marks. Here at Riverwalk Lanes at the ACST. It's great to have you along with us. I'm Steve Kelly. Joe DeAlmeida, final first half, first ball. And there's a quarter Worcester right there. Remember we were just talking about the half Worcester? Well, this is the quarter Worcester. Moose on the quarter. On the head pin, and he'll take the quarter out. That's what he thinks of a quarter Worcester. To spare for Moose. Take a look at that. A clinic on taking out the quarter Worcester would have been a strike otherwise. Look at that. Awesome spare by Moose. And the follow-up to that spare. It's going to be a split and a 6 drop and a 6 fill. 16 after 1 for Moose. And Moose will leave 3 on the deck. 3, 6, 10. And it'll clean up for a 10-box, 26 after 2. So Moose is 57% on the head pin today, 24 for 42. Sarah Wright, 25 for 45. And Moose, with a thick hit down the center, drops 7, splits 7. 5, 8, 10. For the spare on the 5, 8, 10, he gets it. 36 in the ball after 3 for Moose. Let's look at that again. Right on it, takes it out. Moose, two marks this half so far. 36 in a ball. And he's to the left of the head pin. Spare fill is 3. 39 after 3. It's a bit of a washout. Moose versus the washout. 1-3 pocket. Fortunately, not much action there. He leaves the 5 and the 7. He was on the object pin, but didn't get a whole lot out of it. It's the 5 and the 7 for Moose. He'll clean up for a 10. 49 after 4 for Moose. 3 strikes, 11 spares for Moose. 0 strikes, 8 spares for Wright. All comes down to the fill totals. Moose totaling 92, Sarah Wright totaling 51. And Moose will take a split, an 8 drop. It's the 2 and the 6 for Moose. Moose will spare the 2 and the 6. A great spare for Moose. There it is. So 59 and a bonus with 3 spares for Joe Moose DeAlmeida. 59 and a bonus.
Steve will be right back. Thank you for tuning in to this ACST match between Sarah Wright and the Moose himself. We hope you've been thoroughly entertained. Thank you for watching the match. We will continue shortly. Yes, I am hijacking Steve's stream, and no, you can't tell him. Ha ha ha.
Oh, he got me. He got me.
I didn't see anything on the audio mixer. I'm like, oh wait, he muted the mic. He's smart.
But you smarter. You knew.
Oh, I'm way smarter.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Had a dramatic pause. Just had to take a quick break there real quick, and Mark Ritchie knew that I muted the mic, and he came over and I guess said something. So whatever you heard, it's the secret's between you and him, and that's a spare for Sarah Wright. Meanwhile, let's get right back to the action. She runs down the 4 horsemen left. Look at that. Right down the 1-2 pocket, takes everything out. It's a spare for Sarah Wright. Sarah in the 1-3 pocket. Pins are still mixing. It's a 7 fill, and mercifully not a split. That's 58 and 6 for Sarah Wright. And right for the spare. Will she get it? Oh, it goes. That was a spare for Sarah Wright. Fantastic spare on spare on the triangle. The object pin that needed to stay up did stay up from the first ball. Look at that go for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright fires. It's on the head pin. Drops, ooh, a bucket of 5. 5 fill. 4-5, 2-7-8 for Sarah Wright. Spare 7, spare 5, 73 after 7 for Sarah Wright. Marcos in the first, and nothing but marks in the second half so far. Will she take the bucket of 5? She's a little bit too full down the bucket of 5. Just a little bit too much. Sarah Wright will take 2 and leave 1. That's a 9 box for Sarah Wright. 82 and 8 for Sarah Wright with 2 boxes to go. Sarah Wright in the game has 23 to her advantage. She has to keep piling it on. She's down in the total by 15. It would be great if she could just pile some marks on to really reclaim the total. This is kind of her last chance to do it. We'll see if Sarah Wright can do it. Sarah Wright on the 1-2 pocket. She drops 8. Wiggly 9. She's on the 5-9. Sarah Wright on the 5-9 for a spare. Sarah Wright on the 5-9 for a spare. She fires. It's a spare for Sarah Wright. Awesome spare by Sarah Wright right there. In fact, let's take another look at that. It was a nice methodical ball that sailed right to the 5 and the 9 and took both out. It touched them both, and that's how they go. Sarah Wright 92 and 9. She needs to get a lot of fills and get as many marks as she can to try to get that total back. See what happens here. Right on the head pin again. Drops 5, bucket of 5. On the opposite side this time. 97 after 9 for Sarah Wright. Five, 6, 3, 9, 10 for Sarah Wright. She's been 4 for 5 on the head pin in the second half. Much improved from the first. Here comes Sarah Wright. Bucket of 5. This needs to go, and she's a little bit too full. Leaves the 5 and the 10 on the deck. So Sarah Wright with a potential 107 game here. And a 105 guarantee. 8, 9, or 10 for Sarah Wright. And it'll be a nice 10 box. Nice way to finish. 107 for Sarah Wright. At the end of the 5th, 5-22, 5 game total for Sarah Wright. With that 107, she has the total by 10. But sadly, Moose has plenty of boxes plus a fill to maintain that total and take that right back. So he has to get to 48 to tie, and anything greater than 48 to take the 5th game. So this could be a big final stand for Joe Moose DeAlmeida here at Riverwalk Lanes. So before we go, I want to thank a few folks like our ACST committee members, our ACST League Commissioner Danny Finn. That's a 7 fill for Moose. 137, not 137 to shoot at. Yes, so I think our Class C treasurer, Anthony Karen, and that's a spare for Moose right there. Moose marking it up. That's his 4th mark of the game. 76 and 6. Here's that shot for Moose once again. The 1, the 3, and the 7. You may see a 7 pin down there right now, but that was just the pin setter glitching. So no, he did indeed get that spare. You saw the replay. So anyways, thank our Class C treasurer Anthony Karen, our statistician Micah Imperato, the staff Mark Ritchie at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. I'd like to thank Steve Abodeely for some of the B-roll and photography. Stabodeely.com. Check him out. Stabodeely.com. There's a 6 fill for Moose. It wasn't on the headpin, but still a decent offer. 82 and 6. And for the spare, oh, that ball was a little off target. I saw the second he released it, something was wrong. And I always like to thank viewers like you for watching. Always appreciate you watching any way you're watching. That's a 9 box for Moose, 91 and 7. He does have the total by 22 and counting. He needs 16 to reclaim the 5th game. He has 3 boxes to do it. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, you could actually stay tuned on the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store page on Facebook, and we'll be going live with another match here at Amesbury, Massachusetts very shortly, actually. Paul Grant just walked in. I saw Justin Ruggiero, and as soon as the other bowlers get here, we'll go live with them. I think I'll probably just leave this whole setup just up and running. And Moose for the spare on the 7-10 with Wood. He nearly gets it. He gets the 10, leaves the 7. The ball bounces behind the 7. Moose for the 10. He'll get the 10. 101 and 8 for Moose. And he needs 6 to take the game. He's closing in. Sarah Wright will take 4 points. Moose will likely take 10. But stay tuned. We'll find out. Joe Moose DeAlmeida on the headpin. Splits it up with 5. 7-10 for 6-2 on the deck. Moose on the spare attempt. He fires. And he nearly gets it, but doesn't quite. 2-6-10 for Moose. He's going to shoot. And will the piece of wood to come to take any pins? One goes. Will the other go? Wow, that was an interesting 8 box for Moose. I was rooting for something funny to happen there, but not a lot of funny business in Candlepin. Doesn't happen all that often. 109 in 9 for Joe Moose DeAlmeida. And Moose to the left of the headpin washes out a few pins. This is the last box of the match of regulation. Moose has the match by 40 and the game by 2, and counting here. He's at 8 so far for a potential up by 48 and up by 10. We'll see. And it will be an 8. That's 117 for the final game for Joe Moose DeAlmeida. And a 5-game total of 570. Just 30 off of 600. 28 for 50 on the headpin with 16 splits for Moose. 29 for 50 on the headpin for Sarah Wright with 15 splits. So Moose will take 10 points today. And let me see if I can just compute the final stats here. Give me one moment. Have that interesting phenomenon where the displays are being very display-y. So Sarah Wright will take 2 points. Joe DeAlmeida will take 12. After all said and done, 522 to 570. The 107-117 game is confirmed. 522 to 570 finals totals. Sarah Wright takes 2 points. Joe DeAlmeida will take 12. And the difference really came down the fills. Joe DeAlmeida, he has a whole game over 100 in terms of the fill totals, averaging 6.6 per mark. Sarah Wright totaling 68, averaging 6.2 per mark. So the averages were very similar, but Joe DeAlmeida just had way more of them. So Sarah Wright's going to go to 75 and 107 for the season. Joe Moose DeAlmeida will go to 103 and 37 for the season. So that should be it for us for this match, at least, at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. Again, check out candlepins4cancer.com, as we talked about earlier. Also check out some of our other socials, such as Candlepin Bowling Network, at Candlepin Bowling on TikTok, at Candlepin Corner on YouTube. Also my channel, 3 Ball Spare Conglomerate on YouTube and Facebook, as well as twitch.tv. There's the Atlantic Candlepin Single Store page on Facebook as well as YouTube. Check them out too. That's what this whole match series is all about. Also check out Candlepin Chat on Facebook if you want to find out when tournaments are happening or you want to discuss anything. There's alleychat.net and AlleyChat's YouTube channel for the Friday Night Pro League recaps and such. There's Wolfman12395 for classic Candlepin TV shows and the Candlepin Bowling channel for all of that fun stuff. The Ripping the Rack podcast and the Approach podcast. If you're into podcasts, there's Tony Levesque and Charlie Collins on TikTok. Again, 3 Ball Spare, my channel, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Check it out. I post a bunch of shorts, highlights, all kinds of fun stuff, and maybe more in the future. We'll see how that all goes. So check it out. 3 Ball Spare Conglomerate. And of course, last but not least, go to candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. Any center in New England and Eastern Canada will always appreciate your business. Any way you can support Candlepin Bowling, or you just want to get into it, any of us, trust us, we all would appreciate it, and maybe you can come out and meet some of us, who knows. Anyways, for Sarah Wright and Joe Moose DeAlmeida, I've been Steve Kelly. It's been great broadcasting this for you today. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you at the next match, next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. Have a great one.